Okay, so today we're diving into a concept that, I gotta say, sounds like it's pulled straight from a fantasy novel, but it has some huge implications for how we understand reality. We're talking about something called liquid light, a substance that could literally change everything we think we know about conflict and creation.
So let me just start by asking you a question that kind of seems to break the laws of nature. Can fire and water actually exist in harmony? I mean, you think about it, they're polar opposites, right? One consumes everything, the other quenches it. But what if? What if they could be fused into something totally new? Stick with me here, because that's exactly where we're headed. So this whole journey kicks off with this idea of a new kind of alchemy. And no, we're not talking about turning lead into gold. This is about something way more fundamental. It's about transforming the very building blocks of our experience by creating a state that exists beyond all the usual opposites we deal with every single day.
All right, so what is this liquid light exactly? Well, the source material we're looking at describes it as a theoretical substance. It's born from the perfect fusion of elemental fire and water. Now, to be clear, we're not talking about literal fire and water here, but more like their essential energies. And this is the really wild part. The final product exists beyond polarity. It's not hot or cold, it's not active or passive. It just is.
The whole process is broken down into 4 steps, which actually makes a lot of sense. You start with the pure energy of fire, that passion, that drive, that will. Then you bring in the pure flow of water, intuition, adaptability, emotion. And here's where the real magic happens. In step 3, the moment of fusion. This is where these opposites don't just cancel each other out, they perfectly integrate. And boom, out of that, liquid light is born.
So what do you get at the end of all this? Well, the result is pretty incredible. It's a state that's totally free from what the source calls emotional friction. Just think about that for a second. Emotional friction is that constant tug of war inside your own head, right? Your heart wants one thing, your mind wants another. It's all that stress, that indecision, that internal conflict. Liquid light is what it feels like to live without that war going on inside you.
This really sets up a huge contrast, doesn't it? 2 totally different ways of creating anything. On one hand, you've got the world we all know, a world defined by that emotional friction. Our projects, our choices, our relationships, they're often born out of some kind of internal struggle. But on the other hand, you have this new way, powered by liquid light, which allows for what's called undisturbed creation, just action that flows from a place of perfect inner peace.
Okay, so what's the big deal? Why even think about this stuff? Well, it turns out, this whole concept of liquid light, it's the key to unlocking a place our source calls the kingdom of Utopia, a reality that's built on this very principle of pure, undisturbed creation. I mean, the source itself says it best. Utopia is a kingdom where liquid light serves as the tool for all creation. Think about what that means. It's not just the power source for this place. It's the very substance that everything is made from. It's the paint, the clay, the code, the whole shebang for this ideal world.
So let's try to picture this. What would living in this utopian kingdom actually feel like? Well, for starters, all creation would happen without conflict. Can you imagine building a business or a relationship or a piece of art without all the usual struggle? Second, it's a life beyond polarization. No more us versus them, no more right versus wrong. Its very foundation is liquid light, and because of that, it's a reality of just pure untapped potential.
Now, I know this all might sound super abstract, really out there. But this next part, this is where it all comes right back down to earth, right back to you and me. It proposes a new role for every single one of us, the ambassador's vision. And it's all about bringing this utopian ideal into our world right now. See, the idea here isn't that utopia is someplace you have to get to. It's a state of being you can embody. You're invited to become an ambassador of utopia on earth. And what in the world does that mean? Well, it's a huge, huge shift in how we think about making a difference.
This basically gives us 2 ways to look at change. First, there's the path we all know. Fighting for causes, pushing against problems, actively trying to save the world through a lot of struggle and action. But then there's the ambassador's path, and it's totally different. It's about liberating the world not by what you do, but by who you are, by your very presence.
And this is the real takeaway, the absolute heart of the idea. By cultivating that internal state of liquid light, that place free from all that emotional friction, your presence itself becomes the catalyst for change. You don't have to fight the old reality, you simply introduce a new one by embodying it.
You become a walking, talking example of a more harmonious way of being. And all of that brings us to the final, really powerful question we have to leave you with. After exploring this whole idea, from our own inner alchemy to this vision of utopia, we've got to ask ourselves, is true, lasting change really about all the things you do, or is it actually about who you are? It's a fascinating thing to chew on. Thanks for joining me for this one.